What's going on, guys? Dom The Commish here, and today we did a mock draft. It went up today as I'm recording this. Now we're going to be doing a rookie mock draft. So basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be simulating a mock draft, just, 7-round standard. The difference is that we're going to do the first 3 rounds, usually. These were the picks from last time. I'm going to be switching these up once again. But we're going to do an updated mock draft based on, there's a lot new projections and, players who could bounce above, bounce below others. So, yeah, I think we're just going to get started. And if you guys like these mock rookie drafts, please leave a like and subscribe down below. And, yeah, let's enter a solo draft. And now let's just wait until this entire round 1. I just saw freaking Will Campbell go number 1. So, you know what we're going to do? Hold on. We're going to pause this draft. Did Will Campbell really go number 1? Yeah, we're going to restart this draft. The Titans should draft at least someone realistic. Cam Ward, perfect. Now that the Titans actually drafted someone realistic and not an offensive tackle, we're just going to let this play out and we're going to see how it goes. Perfect. Here we go. So we have our full 7-round mock draft. Let's see all the notable players. Cam Ward to the Titans, Travis Hunter to the Giants, Shedeur Sanders on the Raiders, Tyler Warren to the Saints, Ashton Jeanty. Teteroa McMillan falls very far, it looks like. He falls all the way to the Broncos at 28. Even behind Matthew Golden. I don't think that's too realistic, but you know what? We're just going to roll with it because we're just going to go with... I just wanted a good pick for the Titans at number 1 because obviously they're not taking Will Campbell at number 1 overall. They're taking Cam Ward or Abdul Carter. Just wanted to be semi-realistic. Matthew Golden goes to the Green Bay Packers. Egbuka goes to the Texans. Luther Burden to the Steelers. Let's see where some of these running backs went. Colston Loveland to the Colts. Because they got stolen out of Tyler Warren, Trey Harris, Caleb Johnson on the Raiders, Jalen Royals on the Bears, Milroe on the Jets, Omarion Hampton on the Browns. That's a good fit. Harold Fannin on the Bengals is also a great fit. Jackson Dart on the Steelers. Who else have we got? Xavier Restrepo on the Chiefs. That's an interesting one. Isaiah Bond on the Patriots. Jaden Higgins on the Browns. Judkins on the Jags. Iomanor. But yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put all these guys into this mock draft. And yeah, we're going to figure this out afterwards. Okay, it's time to get started with this mock draft. So 3 rounds, 12 teams per pick. Or 12 teams per round, so let's get started. And we're going to start out with the really obvious one, Ashton Jeanty, this time on the Cowboys, going in the 101. I mean, this is obvious. He's projected to be a top 5 running back as soon as he gets into the league, and I don't think that's going to change. So overall, I do like this. Number 1, Ashton Jeanty to the Cowboys. Number 2, I'm going to go a bit unconventional here. And I'm going to go Omarion Hampton over Teteroa McMillan, despite him being probably the better receiver prospect on paper. Omarion Hampton went to the, where did he go again? To the Browns, yes. Now, this guy is going to be the starter immediately. Yes, the Browns aren't amazing, but their offensive line is still decent, despite, all their other shortcomings. And overall, I feel like Omarion Hampton, especially because in this particular mock draft, Teteroa McMillan really fell and not many people liked McMillan. So I doubt that he's going to be the greatest locked and loaded wide receiver 2 in this draft. Or wide receiver 1 in this draft. However, that doesn't stop me from taking him at number 3. Broncos would be an unbelievable landing spot for Ted McMillan, but overall, I'd still have more confidence in Omarion Hampton than I do Ted McMillan. But once again, I think that it's a great landing spot. Next player I'm going to take is Caleb Johnson out of the University of Iowa, who went to the Raiders. Raiders, their backfield was absolutely awful last year, and maybe Caleb Johnson could come in and, be that guy to take over this backfield and be the number one. Now, I said in my running back post-combine video that Caleb Johnson had a really rough combine overall, which definitely could hurt his production in the long run. But in the short run, drafting Caleb at the 104, and he can easily slot into this Raiders offense and become a really good prospect. So overall, he's going to be the number one back in his system. And, running backs are tough to come by in Dynasty, especially because there's so much turnover. There's only 32 starting running backs that you can play at a time. And basically, if everyone's starting 2, that's 24 of the 32 running backs. There's only 8 starting running backs that are going to be technically on a bench at any given time. So you definitely want to be one of those people with one of those starting running backs on your bench. The next player we're going to go with is Cam Ward off the Titans. I should mention that this is Superflex format, or 2 QB format, whatever you want to call it. Cam Ward, I feel like going to the Titans don't have the best core around him. Did they get anyone else in this draft? They got Trey Harris, which is a good pick. Josh Connolly Jr., another tackle. Where else? Who else did they get? Am I missing anybody? Oh my gosh, they had like no picks in this draft. Can I do it by team? Where are you? Titans. Yes, they got Connolly Jr. They got another quarterback. Don't know why. Nick Nash as well, but they got a lot of weapons for him. But is Cam Ward the bona fide QB talent that someone like Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams was last year? No, which is why I'm not taking them as highly as I would these 4 guys in front of him. I think these 4 guys in front of him are the best 4 players in this class, skill position wise. And so, yeah, Cam Ward goes here at 5. Number 6 is going to be Travis Hunter for the New York Giants. Now, most of the time, I would be expecting Travis Hunter to play corner. However, I know if he went to the Patriots, he would be most likely playing wide receiver. If he went there, there was a report that came out about that. But overall, I feel like Travis Hunter is going to play mostly corner with a sprinkle in at receiver. But he definitely still could be an absolutely amazing receiver. And I have no problems taking him here at the 106. Maybe it's a bit early, but for me, it's not. Especially if he's going to have a significant role at wide receiver. And honestly, that's what I'm going for right now. I'm going to say that if Travis Hunter enters the league, he is going to have a significant role at receiver. And if he does, the 106 is where I'd be drafting him. Just because of his volatility and the fact that he could be playing corner is the reason why he doesn't go above these guys. If he just played as a pure receiver, I'd probably put him at the 103 or maybe even the 102. But since he's playing both most likely, or, he could tire out easily, I'm not the biggest Travis Hunter fantasy fan, but in real life, I mean, he's just an unbelievable player, and I think that he'll do really well. The next guy we're going to take Matthew Golden out of the Texas, going to the Green Bay Packers. Matthew Golden, probably the second best pure receiver in this draft. I mean, he really skyrocketed up boards, went above Egbuka, Luther Burden, and that is really big for him. I mean, he had an unbelievable combine as well. The issue that I have with him going to the Packers is that Jordan Love likes to spread the ball around. They've already got Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Dobbs, Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave, Josh Jacobs. They don't like to overfeed targets to one player. And so that's why it gives me a little bit of reservation on Matthew Golden, and why, if he was in a little better of a landing spot, I'd pick him over Travis Hunter probably. But overall, Matthew Golden to the Packers is a good landing spot, but I feel like he could just be a little bit mid, like that 10 to 11 points per game kind of guy. But he gets like 2 games in the season over 20 points, but also like a couple games with like under 5. The next guy we're going to take Luther Burden III. Actually, no, we're not going to take Luther Burden. We're going to look at, I want to see the, where did Travion Henderson go? Because I know that Travion Henderson went to the Broncos, and I think that is an easy Travion Henderson. I'm not even trying to spell it. Travion Henderson to the Broncos. The Broncos running back at number 8. Once again, he comes in. He did take it in the 3rd round, which is a bit scary, but he comes in and immediately is the number 1 back in this offense. Once again, he had a great combine. I love him as a prospect, and coming into the Broncos backfield, he should honestly easily take this backfield over and provide Bo Nix with a well-needed run game. And with a good run game and a guy who can actually run the ball effectively, this offense could take even more of a leap than they did last year. So Travion Henderson going to the Broncos. That's the 108. And then now we're going to go with Luther Burden going to the Steelers. So whoever's at quarterback, it looks like it's going to be Jackson Dart as well. I doubt that's going to happen because he's going to be a first rounder, but hey, we're just going to roll with it a little bit. But even if Justin Fields is the quarterback, having Luther Burden as your wide receiver 1, I feel like he's definitely been a bit overhated compared to his, despite him, he didn't have a great season last year, I know, and he definitely didn't have a great combine, but going under Matthew Golden is understandable, but going under Emeka Egbuka, I feel like is a little bit asking too much. And because he goes to a good landing spot in the Steelers, we don't know what's going to be going on with George Pickens, and there's absolutely no one else in that offense. Justin Fields is throwing him the ball. Did they draft a running back too? Or they drafted Giddens, who's a decent running back, and I guess Kyle Monaghy too. I hate how they double up so much. But yeah, Luther Burden III on the Steelers, a great prospect, and I do like him. And then that is going to slot in nicely for Egbuka as our next prospect, going to the Texans. The Texans are a team that are depleted at wide receiver. So the issue with this is, yes, the offense did regress a lot last year. Am I the most confident in Emeka Egbuka? Not necessarily. Considering he is but he's going into a wide receiver 2 role. When Tank Dell comes back, it might be a bit more iffy, but this year I feel like Emeka Egbuka could definitely defy expectations in this fact that he's going to be the clear-cut number 2. Diggs isn't coming back. I mean, they might sign someone else in free agency, but overall, Egbuka, decent landing target, but I wouldn't take him over Golden and Henderson. Next player we're going to be doing is our first tight end off the board, and that is Tyler Warren going to the Saints. Now, Tyler Warren would normally, for me, be up in the 106, 107 range. However, the Saints, I feel like, is a very bad landing spot, just because of how much they are going to struggle this year. All their players are getting old. The run game is non-existent. I mean, you say they have Kamara, but Kamara is not great in the run game. He's more of a receiving back, and they don't really have the firepower coming from the air game that they normally would. Tyler Warren could be the new Taysom Hill for this offense. However, Taysom Hill was super volatile, and the only reason he was a top 10 tight end this year is because of that one massive 45-point game he had at the end of the year. So overall, I feel like the Saints team is not going to put up much production. However, Tyler Warren is an elite talent, and he has to be at least a first rounder. And it's not even close that he's the best tight end in this class by a long shot. But overall, Tyler Warren to the Saints, not an amazing landing spot. I much rather would have had him go to the Colts instead, like Colston Loveland, or even the Bengals, like Harold Fannin Jr. But, the Saints, not a great spot. The next player we're going to pick is the 70th overall pick in this draft, Quinshad Judkins, going to the Jags. Once again, this fit is really bad just because Judkins is he's a good player. He's probably one of the best running backs to come out of this draft. But the Jaguars already being behind Travis Etienne is just not a good look. And honestly, even though Etienne was bad, I don't trust Judkins in the long run, especially because they already spent a first rounder on Etienne. So if you're looking for immediate talent, which is what you're going to look for in the early first, where I would usually have Judkins, but talent that proves himself right away is not who Judkins is going to be, and it sucks because also the Jags are a really bad team to go to overall. If I'm an NFL prospect, there's a couple places that I never want to be going. Jacksonville's one of them. Carolina's one of them. The Jets are one of them. Those are my big three that no matter what they do, they will always... I'll also throw the Cardinals in there just because the Cardinals have been around for so long and are trash every year. The start of the second round is going to be Shedeur Sanders going to the Raiders. In a Superflex league, he definitely could be going higher, but there's a lot of red flags for Shedeur Sanders as a quarterback prospect, and he probably won't even go this high, if I had to guess. But, you still have to respect Shedeur Sanders and, what he did in college, but I feel like the character issues could be a big problem in the later bits, and going to the Raiders is also not the best spot. I know they just re-signed Max Crosby to a max deal, but they don't have anybody else besides him, which does suck. But overall, I'm putting Shedeur Sanders in the top of the second round. The next player I'm going to take is Fannin Jr. out of the Bengals. So Harold Fannin Jr. was easily the best statistical tight end in college football this year. He played almost like a wide receiver. I think he had over 1,100 yards. I don't know how many touchdowns, but going to the Bengals in this high-powered offense, having Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, poor T. Higgins, by the way, Chase Brown, and now Harold Fannin, I don't see how there isn't a way that he can't produce at least a little bit. He'll probably be sort of similar to what Mike Gesicki's doing right now, except maybe a little bit better. Be kind of like that fringe top 10 tight end in the league, in fantasy points per game, of course. But overall, 202 I feel like is a fair spot for him, and yeah. Next player we're going to be taking is Jackson Dart. We're just getting all of our quarterbacks and tight ends out of the way to the Steelers. Jackson Dart to the Steelers would be an absolutely amazing fit, I feel, especially when you take into fact that they grabbed Luther Burden, having a new stud rookie pass catcher and pass thrower. I feel like there's nothing that you can't say about Jackson Dart. He looked, once again, unbelievable at combine. It's very unlikely that he goes beyond the first round, but once again, we're just kind of, using whatever it tells us to use. But yeah, so definitely Jackson Dart deserves to be in the beginning of the second round. The next person we're going to is Trey Harris, going to I think it was the Titans. Yes, it was the Titans. And give Cam Ward his flashy new weapon. The only other weapon they have on that team is going through the air is Calvin Ridley. I do like Chigakonko, but they haven't been using him that well. You know, Trey Harris could turn into another number one wide receiver. I mean, look at the wide receivers at the top of the second this past year. It's so top to bottom, like really like big gap. At the bottom, you have Jalen Polk, who best hands in the NFL, and he barely caught anything. And then you have Ladd McConkey, who turned into one of the best fantasy picks you could have made last year. So I think Trey Harris kind of falls into that range of, you know, early second, late first wide receivers that could, you know, really make an impact. So, yeah, we're going to go with Trey Harris here. And the next person we're going to take, it might be a little bit really early for him, and that's Jalen Milroe to the Jets. The Jets have absolutely no quarterbacks. Most likely, if they don't get a quarterback in the first, they sign a veteran, and they draft Jalen Milroe to be a second string to whoever this other quarterback is. I guess you have Will Howard too, but and also the other reason I'm taking Jalen Milroe this high is because of the rushing upside. I mean, a lot of people were thinking that Drake May was better than Jaden Daniels last year in that draft, but they were still drafting Jaden Daniels ahead of him in fantasy just because of the rushing upside. And I think that when quarterbacks have rushing upside, they really boost up draft boards, and they're a lot safer of picks because Jalen Milroe will throw 2 picks, but he's got 80 yards rushing. He still gets an extra 4 points, you know. It balances out the 4 points. So overall, Jalen Milroe on the Jets, great fit too. They're going to need a quarterback, so yeah. I want to go see where more of these running backs went. That is my question. I see Tej Johnson to the Cardinals. I do like that fit. Savion Williams to the Bengals. I don't really like that just because of Yoshi Vass. I feel like he's going to still be that dominant third. Cam Scadaboo on the Colts, I don't hate. I also don't love. Tootin on the Bills, I also don't mind, considering that James Cook might not be coming back. Ollie Gordon on the Seahawks. It seems like every single draft I auto-draft, it takes him. Who else do we have? It doesn't look like anyone here. Kyle McCord to the Panthers. I don't hate that. Don't love that. Riley Leonard to the Giants. Is that the only quarterback they drafted? Oh, they got Dylan Gabriel too. Okay. Kyle Monahan on the Steelers, but did they draft a running back earlier? No. Oh yeah, they drafted Giddens. Right. Jordan James to the Chargers. R.J. Harvey to the Taj Brooks to the Seahawks as well. So many freaking running backs. It's honestly kind of annoying. But the next player I think we're going to take is, I think it's going to be, it's not going to be Restrepo. It's not going to be Royals. I think it's going to be Bond. Because the Patriots is a great fit. You know, they haven't been great at drafting receivers in the past. However, I know he also had a disappointing combine according to his standards. I mean, like, overall, he said he was going to run faster than Worthy, and he ran a 4.4. So, but Isaiah Bond, still really good talent. And with the Patriots team, which is absolutely devoid of talent on the wide receiver position, Isaiah Bond could come in and provide an immediate impact. So I'm taking him here at the 206. The next person I'm going to be taking is the other Steelers player, DJ Giddens, because most likely Najee doesn't stay. And you do have Jalen Warren ahead of him, but Jalen Warren also had a terrible season. I think that DJ Giddens could easily come in here, take the running back 1 role, and run away with it if he is. And also, he had a really good combine. Is it ENS? Where are you? Is it ENS? It's ENS. Okay. But yeah, he had a great combine. He could easily come in here and be the number 1 option for the Steelers. 208, this is where we're going to go with Colston Loveland. So I was doing some research, right? Colston Loveland has never had a receiving year over 650 yards. And I think last year he had like 500 yards and he played every single game. To be considered as a first-round tight end, you have to have so much production. Like, you're not taking, like, a lot of people might say, like, oh, Colston Loveland's a great blocker. He's a great downfield blocker, or something like that. You're not going to be taking a downfield blocker tight end in the first round. This is what I don't understand about the draft, and I know I'm probably the biggest Colston Loveland hater in the nation, but I just don't understand why he's a first-round pick. Look at Tyler Warren, had over 1,000 yards and was also a really good blocker, took snaps for them, was at running back, and people still think that Colston Loveland's better. And Harold Fannin had the most receiving yards by a tight end, I think, in FBS history, and people think that Colston Loveland's better than him. I do not think so. Colston Loveland is going to come in here, and the only reason I'm taking him in the second round is because the Colts are absolutely devoid of talent at that tight end position, and he's going to get some volume. But Colston Loveland will never be, I'll say this right now, based on ADP, I mean, you have to draft him here, but he will never be a top 32 tight end in the league. He's going to average under 7.5 points per game, maybe under 6 points a game for his entire career. Just because, like, Colston Loveland he had no production in college, pretty much. And now they're expecting him to have production in the NFL as a first-round talent. The pressure's going to get to this kid. But yeah, once again, your friendly neighborhood Colston Loveland hater. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. Now, the reason why I haven't taken Jalen Royals and Xavier Restrepo yet is because their wide receiver rooms are crowded. However, this is where I'm going to take Jalen Royals on the Bears, just because Jalen Royals, I really like him as a player, and I feel like he's got a lot of talent, especially in the slot there. DJ Moore is getting older. They're losing Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze is still, coming out of his shell a little bit. So that number 3 guy is most likely going to be Jalen Royals. Will he come in and provide an immediate impact? Maybe, maybe not. But he definitely could be a long-term option to be a really good receiver in the future, especially if Rome Odunze ends up not working out for the Bears. And the next person I'm going to be going with is, where are you? Jaden Higgins from the Browns. So, the Browns, I don't think they drafted a quarterback. Did they draft a quarterback? Yes, they drafted Quinn Ewers, who, by the way, I was a big Quinn Ewers hater too as well, but he showed out at the Combine. He played really well, and overall, he did pretty well. I was very surprised. And, I'm actually going to take him, I think, sometime in the 3rd round, especially if he goes to the Browns. I know the Browns isn't a great situation to be in, but I think Quinn Ewers might be the guy to turn around the Browns, which honestly, yeah, I'm going to take him right here. Quinn Ewers, I'm going to take back-to-back Browns, just because now with Omari and Hampton as well, maybe these 3, between Ewers, Higgins, and Hampton, are what you need to turn this Browns team around. Granted, is it going to be easy? Fucking no. Absolutely not. That's going to be unbelievably difficult. However, it's possible, especially with Quinn Ewers at the helm. I hated Quinn Ewers before. Now I'm starting to get more into him. Now, the next player I'm going to be taking is Cam Skattebo from the Colts. Now, it's not a great situation to be in because you're behind Jonathan Taylor, who's been on a pretty big deal. However, I do definitely see there being a world where Jonathan Taylor gets hurt, he's out for a significant period of time. Cam Skattebo comes in and creates a role for himself. Jonathan Taylor wasn't necessarily the best player in the league last year. However, he wasn't necessarily the worst either. He was definitely still a top-end running back, but he's also injury-prone, and he's slowing down. He hasn't had as good of a season since, I think, 2022, when he was the running back 1 in fantasy. If Cam Skattebo gets a shot, I feel like he'll take it and run with it. And on the Colts, there's definitely a chance of him getting a shot. Next player we're going to be taking we're finally going to be taking Xavier Restrepo out of the Chiefs, this one honestly is kind of tough because Xavier Restrepo I really like as a prospect, but on the Chiefs, when you have Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy being the easy top 2 targets, I don't see how Xavier Restrepo gets as much production in this offense. He'll probably be similar to what Hopkins and Marquise Brown did last year, just pop off 1 or 2 games, but overall be like a 7 or 8 points per game kind of player. But yeah, I like Restrepo, not the landing spot. Another player who kind of falls under the same type of whatchamacallit, a player who falls under the same kind of boat as this is Savion Williams out of TCU. I really like him as a prospect. Once again, he's big body, but when you're behind Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, no matter how talented you are, and Andre Yoshivas, no matter how talented you are, you're not going to get as many minutes as you're going to want to. I'm just going to kind of boost through the 3rd round. Next one is Tez Johnson. Nothing really more to say than Tez Johnson is... He's a great player, but his size and speed are not going to translate well to the NFL. He's just going to get absolutely bullied. At least like Xavier Worthy and Devonta Smith were absolutely lightning fast, but he's not. And that's okay, but he's not going to be amazing. Holy shit, how many tackles and guards did the Patriots take? That's unbelievable. How many tackles and guards did they take? Did the Bears take a running back? Didn't take a running back. I'm trying to see who that needs running backs took running backs. Tampa Bay doesn't need any. I mean, I guess Ollie Gordon went to here. I think, yeah, we're going to go with the next... where are you? The next guy we're going to go with is, Byshell Tootin. James Cook might leave, and Byshell Tootin had a really good combine overall, so I'd put my trust with him as a running back, and the Bills is a great spot, especially if James Cook leaves. The next player we're going to be taking, also ignore this murderer right here, we're not going to be talking about him today, until obviously everything's all sorted out. But I think the next player we're going to be going with is the Iowa State receiver, Jalen Knoll on the receivers. I think the Raiders receiving room is not bad, but kind of underrated. I mean, Jacoby Myers is a great number 1 option, despite not many people thinking so. Just the issue is he had absolutely terrible quarterback play. Trey Tucker's a decent speedster. I like him as well. But Jalen Knoll is going to slot in and immediately be the number 2 receiver. Can he really produce on this Raiders team, especially if Shedeur Sanders turns out to be a bust? Maybe, maybe not. But overall, it's a good situation to be the 2 in, and Jacoby Myers is getting older. He could go into the number 1 spot as easily as he slots into the number 2 spot already. The next person I'm going to be taking is Dylan Gabriel. So presumably, the Giants are going to be signing a veteran and drafting a rookie. The veteran is Rodgers, Cousins, whoever. The rookie is Dylan Gabriel. Him sitting under a quarterback for a year or 2, I think will greatly help Gabriel. He's a bit raw still, and I feel like if you're playing for the long game, Dylan Gabriel to the Giants is exactly the game that you want to be playing. Let's see, Ricky White to the Buccaneers. I do like that fit because Chris Godwin is leaving. You're going to need someone alongside Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan. I mean, we saw last year that Baker Mayfield likes to use his top 3 receivers. I mean, he used Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan, and Chris Godwin. I know all of them got hurt at some point or were just a rookie and garbage. But Ricky White as the 3 on this team, I don't mind that. And I don't mind taking a shot on him in the 3rd round. Let's look for some more players who got really good spots. Like Torrey Houghton, I don't think we're going to take him because 49er, it's not a great spot. The Chargers took Pat Bryant out of Illinois, also Jordan James. I think we're going to go Pat Bryant, the LA Chargers, because of the landing spot. I mean, this is a landing spot move. Vlad McConkey is the only receiver they have there, unless they sign another one. I mean, they could bring Keenan Allen back, but I'm cool with letting Pat Bryant sit on my bench for a little while until he gets a shot, and hopefully he, actually solidifies himself as the running back 2. Or sorry, not the running back 2, but the wide receiver 2 eventually. Next player we're going to be taking is the Seattle Seahawks running back, Ollie Gordon II. He's got a lot of talent. He didn't really do well this year or in the combine, and now he's behind 2 guys in Seattle, but I still like him. His talent is definitely there, but just the production is not there considered. So, yeah, Ollie Gordon II going here. The next player I think I'm going to be taking, how many running backs did the Seahawks take? They took 3 running backs. I love this draft. I need to find a new website. But, yeah. The next player we're going to be taking is Nick Nash out of Tennessee. This should be Titans. Once again, just kind of a play, as in, I know they already drafted another receiver in Trey Harris, in case Trey Harris doesn't work out, and even if Nick Nash might already be the 3. He was probably the best statistical wide receiver in this season. I think he had the most yards receiving. Granted, not against amazing competition, but still, we know he can produce. Therefore, I'm okay taking a little chance on him. The next player we're going to be taking, they didn't take a single skill position player. I guess they just traded for Deebo Samuel anyway. So, overall, who else could use maybe a receiver? The Jets? Who did the Jets take at receiver? Nobody. Did the Panthers take anyone at receiver? No. Did the Dolphins take anyone at receiver? No. I guess it's just kind of, now we're getting back into that best player available. I'm not taking Mason Taylor just because that fit is terrible. They have Cole Kmet. I'm going to go with Ty Felton as the 3 to the Vikings. The Vikings don't really have a 3. It used to be Osborne, and now that Adam Thielen's gone, he left a couple of years ago, they don't really have that 3 behind Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and both of them have been injured in the last couple of years for periods of time, and you also have Addison's driving issues. So I feel like this Vikings wide receiver room is pretty volatile and could give Ty Felton an opportunity. But once again, these last couple picks are just kind of reaching for decent situations. We don't need another Jets quarterback. Did you take a quarterback maybe? No, you just took a lot of running backs. Let's see what we got. Let's just go with the last 49. Oh, no, they took a wide receiver earlier, though, didn't they? No, they took one later, Torrey Holton. The Falcons? No. They had, no picks. Cardinals took anyone better? No. Maybe. This is a tough one. I don't really know who to take here, so. I think we'll just go Jordan James out of the Chargers as our last pick, because with Dobbins' injury history and, Gus Edwards just being garbage, I feel like Jordan James definitely has a shot at being the starter. And once again, just looking for decent situations here. And Jordan James did decent, so I don't mind him. So this is the 3-round mock draft. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys did, please leave a like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.